Good morning. On behalf of the University of Pennsylvania and the Penn Graduate School of Education, I'm delighted to welcome you to our 2017 graduation ceremony. We may have rain, but we also have a lot of joy in this room. And it's a joyful day made possible by all of your hard work. Take a moment to savor this feeling and to take pride in your accomplishments. You've earned it. A journey like this, however, is never accomplished alone. For all the support that you've given, will the families and friends of our graduates please stand and be recognized. To our graduates and their parents, spouses, partners, children, family, and friends, congratulations. You came to Penn GSE because you wanted to make a difference through education. You might not yet have known the challenges you wanted to tackle or how you would go about it, but that desire is part of what drove your research, powered your class discussions, and carried you through field work. You will walk across this stage in a few minutes with the knowledge and skills to put those desires to work. As you leave GSE, I urge you to bring intention, confidence, courage, and compassion to your work. Our country will be facing many critical choices about the future of education in the years ahead. Be clear about the change you want to make in the world and work towards it with singularity of purpose. With that clarity, be confident. You have developed the knowledge and expertise to do great things, and you have a network of colleagues to consult with when you have questions, which you inevitably will. Whatever challenge you decide to take up, have the courage to withstand obstacles and to exercise what Paulo Freire called a radical patience. Finally, pursue your work with compassion. The world is a challenging place right now for so many families and children. So cultivate compassion and with it, a respect for the inherent dignity of every person. As you move ahead with intention and confidence, courage and compassion, we can't wait to see the great things you will accomplish. Be sure to stay connected to your classmates and faculty. Bring back your wisdom, your questions, tell us your stories of what you've learned, and connect us to your new worlds. Our speaker today epitomizes many of the qualities I just mentioned. Dr. Robert Parris Moses is a key figure in the ongoing struggle for civil rights in this country. He has pursued his mission of equalizing educational opportunity with clarity of purpose, with courage, and with conviction. The first time Moses traveled to the South in 1960, he was on leave from his teaching job in New York City. He became the leading organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, in Mississippi. As part of that work, he established freedom schools to teach literacy skills and constitutional rights. As he told an interviewer, the Freedom School teacher is, in fact, to be present not simply to teach, but rather to learn with the students. His student-centered approach to learning and teaching is still something we are working towards today. Bob Moses led by example, saying he would not ask a person to take a risk he would not. In Parting the Waters, a sweeping history of the civil rights movement, Taylor Branch described Moses accompanying two black men to the courthouse in Liberty, Mississippi in August 1961 to register to vote, when three white men, including the cousin and son of the sheriff, stopped them on the sidewalk. When they discovered that Moses was headed to the registrar, they attacked him and left him bleeding. But this did not deter Bob Moses, who said to his two companions, "We've got to go on to the registrar. We can't let something like this stop us. That's the whole point." The struggle against segregation would continue through the decade across the South, but the clarity, confidence, and courage of Bob Moses and the men and women with whom he worked helped change our country for the better. I also deeply appreciate the fact that Bob Moses has never stopped teaching. He was one of the first to recognize that changing technology would put a premium on mathematics education. He saw that those who didn't receive quality math instruction, most often children of color and children of poor families, would be shut out of jobs and careers. In 1982, using money from a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship, he founded the Algebra Project to make math relevant to students. Since then, he has worked closely with teachers across the country for more than 3 decades. Between 1983 and 2016, he has co-taught with teachers or taught middle and high school mathematics classes in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Jackson, Mississippi, Miami, and Atlanta. He has also led national teacher workshops, including one with Deborah Ball's Secondary Math Lab. The Algebra Project continues to work in and beyond the classroom in 20 states. Moses has successfully created allies at the highest levels of the education profession who can assist those on the ground to enable students who have performed in the lowest quartile on standardized exams to graduate from high school on time and be ready to take college mathematics. The project furthers the student-centered approach with an emphasis on the dignity of every person that Moses has championed throughout his life. During his academic career, Dr. Moses' appointments have included adjunct lecturer at the NYU School of Law, the Frank Rhodes Class of '56 professor at Cornell University, and distinguished visitor for Princeton Center of African American Studies. And on Monday, he'll be receiving an honorary degree from the University of Pennsylvania. I can't think of a better person to address you as you begin the work of creating a more just and equitable world through education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Robert Parris Moses.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dean Grossman, and everybody. I'm really glad to be here. So we're going to start with the preamble, and everybody, I want you to say it after me, okay? You up for that? All right. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So who are the constitutional people in our nation? 230 years ago, in 1787, it was white men who owned property. Charles Stuart owned 9-year-old Somerset. But when he took him to England, a 29-year-old Somerset decided to own himself and fled into England's stream of insurgent runaway slaves. Captured, he was brought to trial. On June 22, 1772, the clerk called the case James Somerset, a Negro, on habeas corpus. Lord Mansfield, bewigged, the Chief Justice of the oldest and highest court in England, mounted the bench and delivered his judgment. The state of slavery is of such a nature that it is incapable of being introduced on any reasons, moral or political. It's so odious that nothing can be suffered to support it but positive law. Whatever inconveniences, therefore, may follow from the decision, I cannot say this case is allowed or approved by the law of England, and therefore the black must be discharged. Lord Mansfield's decision reverberated across the Atlantic into the 1787 Constitution, which harbors a Somerset Clause, Article 4, Section 2, Paragraph 3. No person held in service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor is due. When Kingman Brewster died, it fell to Sam Chauncey to design his burial site at the Grove Street Cemetery, where all presidents of Yale rest. Sam slung a low black marble wall around the gravesite and chiseled into it a passage that embodied Kingman's dedication to the promise of opportunity for all. The presumption of innocence is not just a legal concept. In common sense terms, it depends on that generosity of spirit that sees the best, not the worst, in the stranger. The 1787 Constitution afforded constitutional status to two sets of undocumented people. On the one hand, constitutional people, European white men, via the preamble. And on the other hand, constitutional property, strangers, African boys and girls, men and women, via the Somerset Clause. Kingman Brewster's distinction between common sense and legal doctrine parallels Lord Mansfield's distinction between human rights that flow from our common humanity and legal rights embedded in constitutional law. the distinction between the thrust of the preamble and the Somerset Clause. Now fast forward 2 centuries from 1787 to 1987 and the Algebra Project, which gave birth to the Young People's Project. Young people in their 20s and teens who aspire to establish a 21st century math literacy standard. But then reflect that the nation's most central, initial, aspirational young people's project was certainly the Somerset insurgents. Young Africans in their teens and 20s aspiring to change their constitutional status from that of the Somerset Clause to that of the preamble, from constitutional property to constitutional people. The Somerset insurgents, those who escaped and those who stayed and struggled, joined Native Americans, Western Pennsylvania banditti, international smugglers, undocumented immigrants, and dissident citizens to trouble the preamble's waters for 3/4 of a century, until by 1863, a preamble war fought to expand the reach of we the people rang the curtain down on the Somerset Clause, Africans as constitutional property, and closed the nation's first constitutional era. Exactly 1 century later, in February 1963, a 20-year-old SNCC field secretary, Jimmy Travis, driving from Greenwood to Greenville, caught in his neck 2 of the bullets raining down on the SNCC Chevy. As Jimmy slumped, I reached over, grabbed the wheel, hit the brakes, and steered into the ditch. Local terrorists had staked out the SNCC voter registration office in Greenwood and grease-gunned us on Highway 82. Somerset insurgent descendants, African Americans this time around, initiated and sustained a sit-in movement, took it into Mississippi with freedom rides, then settled via SNCC to organize voter registration across the Black Belt. We the people? Asked Patrick Henry at the Virginia Convention to ratify the new Constitution in 1788. Sir, give me leave to demand, what right had they to say, we the people? Who authorized them to speak the language of we the people instead of we the states? If the states be not the agents of this compact, it must be one great consolidated national government of the people of all the states. We the people do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America, a simple declarative sentence. Subject, verb, object. Subject, we the people. Verb, present tense and active, do ordain and establish. Object, this Constitution for the United States of America. SNCC field secretaries, 20th century insurgent runaways, put the preamble in play big time. Freedom riders bombed in Anniston were not thinking we the states, but we the people. We the people who ordain and establish this Constitution by this freedom ride, in defiance of the judicial, legislative, and executive branches of the federal government, in opposition to the powers of the states of Alabama and Mississippi, we enact ourselves to be constitutional people. As Einstein taught us, imagination is more important than knowledge. We will have to imagine we the people into a nation that Patrick Henry feared. one great consolidated national government of the people of all the states, a preamble nation to compete with the Confederation of States and the domination of party politics. Think about it. The preamble's verb, present tense and active, is a wake-up call for 21st century we the people, documented or not, who take this nation as their home to get their act together and enact themselves as public citizens for the common human good. Let's say it one more time. Let's say it one more time, folks. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Just do it, people. Just do it.
Thank you.